All right. It is me, NBT Sky. My hair's not done as usual, right? With the net on. So anyway, this is a random thought. I got a little belly ache. You have power versus respect, and so on and so forth. Power is in people, not in, you could be a billionaire. Your money might have some sort of power, but it really doesn't yield any power without people. Right? Now, because I think like this, because I think like this, is a system in place that's going to trash away people and challenge that thought. So we have money, we have people, and we have respect. We have people who know that you should be respected, but they still do not respect you. I've experienced it, so it's cool. People who know that you should be respected, but they do not respect you. They do not respect your knowledge. They don't respect your information. They're not respecting information. They're not respecting knowledge. They're not respecting the fact that it was provided. And then you have people that respect money. Now, let's not get it twazzled. There has been a time where money and my reality has been respected beyond people, and that doesn't work because I came to an understanding that the paper is constantly reproduced. Is a difficult thing to reproduce the same energy. So if we talk about Hermes, we talk about Thoth, we talk about Ra, we talk about that. Ra, Hermes, Thoth, it was a discussion of beyond that. It was, I can have all of the physical reality and still re-manifest in the physical reality and still hold all of the knowledge from my previous reality that most people are not understanding. This is a concept that's important. Is important. There are people that will leave the planet and reincarnate with no information prior because you didn't raise your frequency to that degree, right? And then there's a group of individuals who raise their frequency to that degree where they can leave the planet, experience a physical death, choose to reincarnate, and still bring in or bring forth their previous knowledge. This is the knowledge of Thoth, of Hermes, that people don't understand. Now, when you read the book of Hermes, and this is not deviating from the concept of the channel, right? Because I like tarot card readings and bone throws and E5 and so on and so forth. It's not deviating, but this is the discussion of Hermes. And I'm redirecting. Like I'm talking to y'all, but I'm literally I'm in pain right now. My tummy hurts. It's probably my fault. But anyway, the discussion of Hermes, when you read Hermes, it states that you should read it 100 times to have a full understanding. Those who are truly tapped in don't really have to read it 100 times to have a full understanding. You understand the whole travel of Hermes is a discussion of being able to leave the physical body, one physical body, continue and hold on to that consciousness, and then reincarnate and be able to bring in that information. This is not only a physical journey, but it's a spiritual journey. Outside of it being a spiritual journey is a genetic conversation. We are in a time where people try to tap into the genetics. Period. So that they can survive. Period. You can snatch every genetic property from me or attempt to artificially, and still cannot take it. This comes in all shapes, forms, and fashions, in all systems. People have to understand agreements and how agreements take place. When we give birth, you can state that your child is going to take on the sin of the previous generation if you choose to. That's your choice. A real mother is going to give birth and say, my child is brand new and does not take on the sin of anything that I did prior or my ancestors did prior, because they're freeing their child of the sin. People don't think like that. When you give birth to your child, the first thing you are to think is that my child is new. My child is still unconscious. So I, as a parent, with love, I'm not going to pass on or allow the vibration to pass on any unjust or imbalances prior. That's how you free your children from generational curses, generational cycles. You have the power to do that as a mother bringing in birth. And this happens during the whole gestational process. In real life, people have clung on to this concept of generational curses. I did not cling on to that, and I still do not cling onto generational curses or generational fails or generational bad luck or none of that. I do not cling on to that. If I give birth to you, you are new. Anything that's for me, I'm going to take it so that you are free. That's a real mother. That's a real father. Simple as that. It's about consciousness. Consciously, you know that, maybe your ancestor made an agreement. Maybe you made an agreement. Maybe your ancestor before the ancestor made an agreement. My child is new. My child is my reincarnation. I'm going to free my reincarnation by stating that my child is new. My child is pure. My child is everything. My child is still attached to the earth. My child is still tapped in. Now, when the child gets to a particular age and chooses that they want to be something else, there's nothing you can do about that. That's their own path and their own road, and that's their ori, and that's so on and so forth. Parents come in and have children, and they do not state mentally or verbally that their child is free of their sin. And so their child carry on the sin. Or they carry on the fail. Your child is new. The universe allows you to have a child, and the child is unconscious at the time. And I'm not going to say unconscious, but unconscious to the physical reality, because they are still tapped into the spiritual reality regardless. They goose and they gagas and all of that. That's all natural tone and sound that should not be immediately taken away. I speak to my children, but I did not immediately take away googles and gagas. What I did was made sure that they understood that when they speak to mommy, that it's for communication. People have to understand the purity of a child, the purity of their consciousness. If a child is pure, and you give birth to one and you state that your child is pure, when your child navigates to certain directions, trust it. I trust my children at a certain age when they're untampered. The universe, unfortunately, we tamper with our children by accident, not intentionally. Our communities tamper with our children, that's intentionally. The system tampers with families, that's intentionally. And then you have the natural system that pops back in and tries to bring in balance. In my case, all is not always perfect. but I deal with my children on a natural level at a certain age. Unfortunately, when we raising children, we still within society, and society still has some influence on our children. Even when I was growing up, society had influence on me, right? My lifestyle was totally different, but society still had influence on me. Luckily for me, I was allowed to experience these things. Oh, this water is extra hot. This water is not hot. This is medium, whatever the case may be. That's the beauty of the path. The path is not to be broken. You can be in a position where you've never experienced nothing I've experienced and still be less than with knowledge. You can go to college and receive a master's degree and still not have the same knowledge as an individual that does not have a master's degree. You can put one individual with a master's degree versus an individual who does not have a master's degree, who studied the same way, and they still end up smarter than you. You have to ask, how is that humanly possible? You can have an individual that went to college, got a degree, got a job, and meet another individual that didn't do none of that and still got the same job. So now you have to question yourself about, is this a systematic thing or is this a thought thing? Is it a thought thing? Is it a way of thinking thing? And so the individual that chose to go through all of these systematic situations to reach a particular goal versus the individual who chose not to and still reach that particular goal, why would you be a hater? And this is why in a previous video I discussed, there's nothing wrong with having a job or going to work and doing a 9 to 5. Is your view of it. There's individuals say, oh, I go to work, everything is a 9 to 5, and this is the build, and it creates stability and, harmony and happiness. And you wake up and you're 75 years old and you're still doing it. And there's the other individual that's going to go and they're going to work the same 9 to 5, but their goal is different. I didn't take the same path as you. I didn't go through the system exactly the same as you, but I'm still here. So now we have to question ourselves. Is the piece of paper valid? Is the certificate valid? How could the certificate or the piece of paper be valid when there's individuals that's without it and still know more than you? You have to think about that. And so now we have to think about why the system is not taking that into consideration. Instead of the system taking it into consideration, the system wants to destroy it. Why are you destroying it? First off, I saved me money, I saved you money, I cut my school time short, and I still experience all the same things that you experience, except for your ass is in debt. Your ass still owe the school $200,000. You still owe the school $1.5 million. Your parents are still mad as fuck. But my parents is not, and I'm still making the same money as you. How does that work? People have to think about these things. Now that the system is aware that we have people that think about these things, there's going to be things in the system that puts blocks in place. Those blocks will never be valid. So now here we are, fast forward is, a new age. We in a tech age. We in that artificial intelligence age. And they say, fuck it, we just got to knock everybody that's human off and we're going to replace you with artificial intelligence. You cannot replace humanity with artificial intelligence. Period. It's not humanly possible. One is because our universal system is put in place to identify the difference between the two. Artificial intelligence cannot raise its frequency or vibration or consciousness to a degree where it can move on into another dimension where we as human beings can raise our consciousness and frequency and still move on to a vibration where we can continue to live. Artificial intelligence can't do that. And so this is where confusion takes place, with humanity versus artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, and all this other stuff. Can this stuff be used for good? Of course it can be used for good. Don't get it twisted. It can definitely be used for good. The problem is when we try to clear out natural intelligence and replace it with artificial intelligence, that's a violation upon humanity and the universe. This is spoken about in tarot. This is spoken about in Bonto. This is spoken about in Santeria. This is spoken about in Hoodoo, Voodoo, Ifa, and witchcraft and so on and so forth. It's already proven. All of the artificial intelligence is a collection of information that's taken from us human beings. You have to understand, artificial intelligence couldn't even exist without human beings, because in order for artificial intelligence to exist, it needs human beings, it needs statistics, it needs analytics, it needs these things in order to exist. It cannot exist. And this and this is what has to be recognized. The problem with humanity versus artificial intelligence is that artificial intelligence will grow and it will always lag behind natural intelligence. It will always lag behind the natural intelligence. And this is why a lot of our elders are not here right now, because our elders in all systems would state that it's not going to work. They don't like that. Our elders will state that it's just simply not going to work. People, once again, you look at algorithm, you look at statistical data, you look at these things and they try to categorize humanity based upon that. And so they try to build artificial intelligence upon that. Artificial intelligence has no relevancy unless it's in support of natural humanity, not the other way around. And this is where it all gets twazzled, because when we think, right, when we think about it, most people think that humanity is supposed to be in support of artificial intelligence. No, artificial intelligence has to be in support of humanity, because artificial intelligence couldn't even exist without our statistical data. It couldn't exist without our emotions, without our thoughts, it couldn't exist. It's non-existent. I don't care how much money a billionaire or a gazillionaire has. They know that their artificial intelligence is built upon a natural intelligence. So that lets you know that the natural intelligence is more superior than the artificial intelligence. And it's just that simple. It's not hard. It's not hard. This is not science. And so with that being said, right? With that being said, is humanity supposed to respect artificial intelligence, or is artificial intelligence entitled to, is it mandatory for artificial intelligence to respect humanity? It's mandatory for artificial intelligence to respect humanity. It's just that simple. You have to think, before artificial intelligence, there was humanity and natural connection. So clearly we control artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence cannot trump us, nor can it do. And this is the thing, this has been discussed before it's even been made public. Period. I'm just saying. We have to think about these things on a deeper level. Artificial intelligence is supposed to be in support of natural intelligence, not the other way around. Natural intelligence does not have to be in support of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence cannot be in existence without natural intelligence. Everything that natural intelligence provides is mimicked by artificial intelligence, not the other way around. So the moment that humanity gives extensive power to artificial intelligence, it literally deletes its existence and artificial intelligence takes over. The moment that natural intelligence understands that artificial intelligence cannot exist without natural intelligence, artificial intelligence cannot take over. And it's just that simple. This is not hard. It's not rocket science. The powers that be understand that and they don't like it because artificial intelligence is put into place to control the natural intelligence. They're frustrated because it's not going to work. It's just simply not going to work. Unfortunately, again, artificial intelligence is only here to support. It's not here to trump over natural intelligence. And when the powers that be have a full understanding of that, then we're going to have a complete and total balance in reality. We're going to have a complete and total balance in all elements. And the universe ain't going to shake us up. Period. The worst part of it all is that those of us who have this understanding, who do not speak about it, who do not state it, who do not promote it, those who have this understanding that natural intelligence will always trump all these artificial aspects, they are the ones who will get spanked. And because they don't want to get spanked, they'll try to swap it out and move energy, whether it's spiritually or artificially, onto those who are aware so that they can get spanked so they can be freed. It doesn't work that way. You're still going to get spanked. I'm sorry. I got spanked for understanding that everything that we do and everything that we don't do to each other has a ripple effect. I got spanked for that. It's thousands of people who can tap in that got spanked for that. Whether they was involved in the situation or not, they got spanked for that. This is consciousness. The unconscious don't give a goddamn if the rest of the conscious individuals on the planet get spanked for it. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. Literally, there are conscious individuals who have nothing to do with anything that's going on that's still getting spanked for it because they're conscious of the ripple effect. It's just that simple. They're conscious of the ripple effect. Whether this be artificially or naturally, we get spanked. We get spanked. And that's what has to be thought about. This has nothing to do with religion, but spiritual preference, race, or creed. This has everything to do with the natural concept of reality. Period. Now, there's this statement that states that, real is going to recognize real. And unfortunately, we in a universe and we in a vibration where real is not recognizing real. So real is isolating itself from the unreal. It's just that simple. Real is isolating itself from the unreal. And when that happens, there's unreal individuals that's going to manipulate the environment, whether it's spiritually, artificially, or physically, from the real, and trying to make real look unreal. And it doesn't work because at the end of the day, the real gonna fall all the way back so that everything that you're surrounded by, you're gonna have to question it and look at it and say, well, if all of y'all real, then how come we all doing phony ass shit? If all of y'all real, then why are all of us doing phony ass shit and the individual that we isolate and ain't even beat? That's what you got to think about. That's what you got to think about. And most people don't. And maybe it depends on, age or experience or how you view reality or how you see reality. But you have to think. In this day and time, the isolated is the real and the clustered is the fake and the phony in real life. And that's what I had to come to realize and it's a painful and uncomfortable situation. I realize that most of the real is isolated. Most of those who are, pro their people are isolated. Most of those people that have that rich, wealthy, free mindset, they are isolated. But bring on the culture and still want to get, so they're isolated. People have to think about that. They say real recognize real, but I see a lot of fake recognizing fake and isolating real to be around the fake. So, therefore, that statement is topsy-turvy in this situation. Unfortunately. This happens on everyday regular life. Everyday regular life. When I was growing up, I was taught you can't say nothing in your closed environment that about an individual that you won't say to their face. We've come into a particular situation where saying in the face is FaceTime. Saying in the face is over the phone. Saying in the face is a text message. No, saying in the face as a woman or saying in the face as a man is saying in the face. And this is where this shit got all twazzled at and confused. People have to understand the difference. A real individual states that saying in the face is that I'm going to stand before you as a woman, I'm going to stand before you as a man, and I'm going to speak how I feel and give you the opportunity to reject it or accept it. Where in this new age, real is I'm going to get on the internet and I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and then when I see you, I'm not going to say it. That's not real. People have to think about these things. And this is why a lot of real individuals end up disconnecting from clusters and groups of individuals. It's not the other way around. And I'm starting to realize that, because I thought it was one way, but I'm starting to realize it's the other way around. If you have something to say and you cannot physically stand before an individual, and then your excuse is your celebrity status, your money, or who you chill with, or who you cool with, or who you be around, you're not real. Because a real individual, regardless of all of that, they're going to push that to the side and they're going to stand on 10 toes. And this is the problem that I have with people in my personal life, people in my spiritual life, people in my emotional life, and all of those dimensions. They have a hard time with saying anything to my face or saying anything to the next individual's face. So therefore, can it be respected? It's the same concept like thinking about contracts. Contracts is cool. I write my name on a piece of paper, you write your name on a piece of paper, we write a statement or an agreement, and we say this is that, and we both write our names, and we're going to stand on that. Okay, you in order for you to be a man or a woman, you have to you require a piece of paper and a piece of ink and a signature in order to say that your word is valid. You're not a man or a woman, so you are dismissed. A man or a woman can be validated based on their word. Based on their word. I'm not cutting no contract or agreement with an individual who I can't even agree with on your word. If I say, hey, every Monday we're going to go to the store at 10 a.m. and your ass ain't going to go to the store every day at 10 a.m. and I'm guilty of not going to the same, I'm guilty, okay, at 10 a.m. Your word stated that as a man or a woman. If I have to bring a piece of paper and some ink and your signature into it, you're no longer a man or a woman, and your word no longer is born, and therefore you are no longer valid as a man or a woman. And this is what the system understands that humanity is not understanding. Humanity is not understanding. Period. Once we become a species of individuals that cannot speak to one another and make an agreement, and that agreement is valid, and it requires a piece of paper and some words and a signature, then we are no longer able to say that we can stand on our word. The paper is not your word. Your vocal is your word. What you speak is your word to the next man or woman. That's your word. And so this is why contracts and agreements are very tricky. They're very tricky. And so therefore, me personally, I would never really go into a valid contract or agreement that I care about. If I care about it, when I speak it, I stand on it. Period. If I have to put it to writing, that means that you really don't trust me. That's what people have to understand. Once a written contract is put into place and signatures are required and all of that other stuff, it's a matter of trust. It's a trust issue. I do not trust you as a man or a woman to stand on your word. So this is where we get sold and bought as a collective, as a people. This is how we get bought and sold in real life. Me personally, I don't take a written contract serious. I take your word serious. I'm going to test your word before I even agree to a contract. If I agree to a contract and did not test your words, because I want to see what type of time you want. Because a real man or a real woman is going to give me their word, that their word is bond, and I'm going to believe it, and then you're going to follow through with it. If you a man or a woman that depend on a piece of paper as your word, I don't even respect you. I don't respect you. And I'm not even going to hold you. I'm not even about to say a lot. I don't respect you. You know, I was taught that agreements, contracts, they are made. I was not taught that agreements and contracts were respected. I was taught that a real man or a real woman can speak with it, what it's going to be, and it's going to be, and it's respected. Period. Then if that individual wants to bring in a written contract or agreement, they can be respected. And there's even trickery in that, depending on the vibration and the thought process of an individual. But anything but is bullshit. But anyway, I would prefer to be able to interact with individuals who can speak something in agreement and that agreement be solid. Then when you come to me later with a piece of paper and some writing down, it's valid. The problem with people with pieces of paper and agreements and contracts is that they read, but they don't understand the words on a contract and agreement. And so this is where it gets sticky. This is where people get clumped up. And this is in all dimensions and all levels. It don't matter what type of business you in. This is where it is. People have to understand that the medical field has words that are the exact same as the banking field, and the banking field has words that's exactly the same as the law field, and the law field has words that's exact as the court, and the court has words that's exact, as the music business, and the music business has words that's exact as the car industry, but they all mean the same thing. So people have to understand the trickery in it all. If the C in spirituality means one thing, and the C to a fisherman means something else, and the C to the banker means something else, and the C to the man in the court means something else, and then you go into the Black's Law Dictionary and go back into the beginning of the times to the first edition, and C ends up fucking around meaning something else. And then you go into the C in law, and that might mean something else, and so on and so forth. Then you understand that we have one word in several systems that means something different. And this is something that came into understanding not from a Black man, but from a Caucasian man for me. So I'm not even about to sit here and hold you. I had questions, and so I did some research, and there was a Caucasian man that actually broke that down. Like, yeah, Sky, listen, check this hot shit out. Yeah, a currency and current and so on and so forth. You bring that into different systems, And that same word means something different and moves things a little bit different. And people have to understand it, even in contracts and agreements. Even in contracts and agreements. So these are things that we all have to think about on multiple levels. Smarts is not about where you went and got an education. I'm going live. Hold on. Smarts is not about where you got an education. And smarts is about how far you are willing to dive into what you're interested in, how far you are willing to research and do some study. And that's the same thing in spirituality. That's the same thing in reality. That's the same thing when you're dealing with your emotions or your mental stability or your way of mentally thinking about things. That's the same way. You have to understand that. And then you have to question yourself, like, why am I in a system where one word and several systems mean something different? Because it's trickery. Because when you go into certain religions, certain spiritual systems, certain groups of people, you'll realize that it's not that serious. It's not that serious. So this is things that people have to think about. And so this brings you back to bone throws, and it brings you back to tarot card readings, and it brings you, back to any other forms of divination. It brings you back to having to still tap into those natural elements. What is the currency in divination? What is currency? What is current in divination? Right? What is a ship in divination versus shipments? What is that? What is the air in science versus air in spirituality versus air in the medical field? What is that? So this is the things that people have to think about when they dealing with divination. They're looking at it on different dimensions and different levels and different vibrations. And I'm sitting here talking to y'all because I'm trying to kind of distract myself from my belly, to be honest. But we have to think about that. We have to think about it. It's just that simple. It's real levels to it. What is the moon to the scientist versus the moon to a doctor? What is the sun to the scientist versus the moon to the doctor? What is the moon and the sun in spirituality that wasn't already known, that the doctors swear or the scientists swear they discovered, that was already discovered? People have to think about that. The doctor and the scientist, that's just a title. They didn't discover shit, because it was already a topic of discussion way back in time, obviously. And so when you are able to look into all of these spiritual systems, including tarot card reading, when you're dealing with, when you're dealing with the major arcanas, the minor arcanas, when you're dealing with bone throwing, you're dealing with the directions, and you're dealing with the elements, and you're dealing with this, and you're dealing with that, and you look at all these systems and you see the similarities, then you're able to have a conversation with the natural elements of reality. Now, I also noticed a pattern. There's great seers. Nationality is irrelevant, but I've noticed a pattern that people are great seers. They have the ability to tap in, and they end up blind. I see that, and then I also see this energetic swap out with individuals that are not great seers or were not appointed great seers naturally end up blind, and the great seers end up losing their abilities at some point. This happens. I saw it, but that's another story. Moving right along, there are children that are brought into the world that are great seers. There are, there's a difference between being a great seer and just being, smart. A great seer sees in multiple dimensions, and it's a difficult path that has to be discussed at some point. And then there's people that are naturally smart, and somehow this naturally smart ends up trying to dismiss the great seers. You cannot dismiss the great seers, because the great seers saw everything before you. You're naturally smart, but I saw everything before you. So, you know, it has to be respected. People say, you know, they see a lot of things about, you know, people that spiritually see, you know, they see, oh, well, you know, your ability comes from this deity or your ability comes from that deity. No, your ability comes from having a system or a group of individuals who do not violate it. They don't violate it. Oh, you want to be an African spirituality? Goodbye. Deuces. You want to be a Christian? Okay, goodbye. Deuces. You want to be an Ifa? Okay, bye. Deuces. That's the system. Oh, well, purple is yellow to you. I'm not mad at you, so therefore purple is yellow to you. I'm not going to kick you in the ass for it. I'm not going to. Oh, well, everybody's in a straight line, but you want to go left. Well, you're going left, and I'm not mad at you. People have to understand that there's no such thing as special abilities or disabilities. There's no such thing. There's people that are that's quote unquote labeled disability. These are labels, and their parents, they take on that concept that is a disability. How could it be a disability? That individual might be disabled, but he count better than you. That individual might be disabled, but he make music better than the person that been making music. So there's no such thing as a disability. It's not a disability, it's a gift. I see reality different from you. I don't even subscribe to disabilities because in my reality, there's no such thing. I don't even support it. In reality, I really don't. Drop me off a disabled kid and I'm gonna treat him just like I treat all the my regular 2 children. I literally don't support it. There's no such thing. Period. I'm just simply tell, oh, well, my disabled kid does this. He throws temper tantrums. She throws temper tantrums. She breaks down. I don't really care. Get your ass up, carry on, and it's a regular day for you. No one is concerned about you. You're going to do everything that everybody else do like you've been doing, whether you believe it or not. But I'm going to acknowledge that you see reality slightly different. And so I'm not going to tell you that you're disabled, but I'm going to tell my kids that are not disabled, let's look at reality that way, so that my not disabled children can see reality on another scale. I'm never frustrated. I would never be frustrated. I would never put my disabled child in a particular system if I had one. Why? Because I know that you see reality on a different level. So I'm gonna ask all my regular kids that don't have a quote unquote disability, what color you see? Purple. Oh, okay. Well, what color do you see? Yellow. Why y'all asses don't see yellow? And why your ass don't see purple? We gonna work it out. Because if he see yellow and y'all see purple, then we have a problem, because yellow obviously exists in the same vibration. There's no argument. There's no disability. I need you to tap in. I need you to tap in. We tapping in. Now, when we all leave, now we both see yellow and purple in the same goddamn dimension. This is how people have to think. Medication is not always the key. Acceptance is the key. Acceptance. Understanding the genius in it is key. That's key. I have 2 sons. One son sees reality one way, the other son sees something else. I don't sit there and fight them against the other to force one to see reality the same way the other one does. Y'all both see reality totally different. That's your right. That's your free will. The universe gave you that. Medication is not required. That's what people have to come to understand as parents and as people. Whether it's a physical or mental or emotional disability, it's not a disability. I don't even believe in disabilities, honestly. You know, one might call a child bipolar. I just say you're having a mixing moment. One might say a child is hyperactive. My aunt say, oh, he just need a chill pill, but there's no pill involved, and still get the same effect as the individual that's going to feed their child a pill. You might feed your child a pill to get them a chill, but my aunt said you need a chill pill, my son chill. So you have to think about that. I'm going to say that in slow motion for you. One might say that a child is hyperactive. One is going to feed their child an actual pill to get them a chill and fall back. My aunt simply said, chill pill, and my son simply chilled with no medication. So it's a mind thing, not a pill thing. It's a mind thing. Why is it that my aunt that passed away was able to tell my hyperactive son, you need a chill pill, and he chilled, but you had to go to the doctor and get a pill? How do y'all get the same result is what you have to think about. How did y'all get the same result? One with no pill and the other one with a pill. How did you get the same result? Because it's a mind thing. It's a mind thing. If I say chill pill to my son right now, he's going to chill. If you say chill pill to your son right now, he's not going to chill because you're going to hand him an actual pill. So you have to think about that. How did y'all get the same result? And I'm only bringing that particular topic up because my youngest son brought it up. He said, hey, Auntie Granny said, hey, take a chill pill, and I chilled. And I had to really think about that thing. She said it and he chilled. But you took yours to the doctor and gave him a fucking pill and got the same result. I'm just saying, though. Think about it. I'm going to talk to y'all later, though.